Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast, where insight meets innovation. Whether you're sketching your first idea or refining a finished product, you're in the right place. Our mission is to equip you with the tools, expertise, and clarity you need to succeed as an inventor, while helping you conquer fears and limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, founder and CEO of Inventor's Edge. Before becoming a seasoned product development coach, I was a wide-eyed inventor with a head full of ideas but no clear path forward. I know firsthand what it's like to feel stuck, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Fast forward to today, I'm a successful entrepreneur with multiple licensing deals and products on the market. I'm committed to helping inventors like you overcome obstacles, conquer fears, and transform your ideas into tangible success through proven, actionable, step-by-step strategies that deliver real results. Join us as we bring in industry pros, share expert advice, and dive deep into the world of innovation. Ready to turn your ideas into reality? Let's get started. Today's guest is a true example of what it means to follow your curiosity, trust your gut, and turn real-world problems into real success. Nick Norman's story is one of those that just kind of sticks with you, from selling candy out of a briefcase as a kid, to protecting sea turtles in Costa Rica, to working with big cats at a tiger sanctuary. Like, who does that? Nick's journey is anything but ordinary. So after realizing corporate life wasn't really for him, he started selling on Amazon, and that eventually led to one chilly idea that changed everything. When Nick and his wife got hooked on doing ice baths in a stock tank, he noticed one big problem. There was no good way to keep bugs and leaves out. So, like a true inventor, he decided to fix it. That idea became Polar Protector, a brand that sold over 30,000 covers in just over 2 years. Now Nick's taking innovation to the farm, reimagining what's possible in the stock tank category, creating smart new accessories, and proving that even in industries untouched for decades, there's always room for fresh ideas. Nick's journey is packed with lessons about creativity, resilience, and what it really means to think like an entrepreneur. There is tons of gold in this episode. I'm so excited. Let's dive in with Nick Norman, the inventive mind behind Polar Protector. Hey, Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. Awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're so excited to talk with you and appreciate your time, and very fired up to get right into it. So I always like to start at the beginning with podcasts. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just a quick overview. Anything you want to share is great.
Yeah, my name's Nick. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm kind of born and raised in a farm setting and a kind of a rural setting, and then also the other half of me was born in kind of in the city, and so I'm kind of a mixture between the both. And I am a zoologist, graduated from Northwest Missouri State with a degree in zoology, and kind of tried the corporate life, and it wasn't for me. And I kind of became an entrepreneur and started listing and selling things online, and it grew. And we had this great idea for stock tank accessories and covers, and it snowballed and grew to a great business.
That's awesome. I'm excited to get right into it. And you've had like a really wild kind of, your journey is interesting, from saving sea turtles in Costa Rica to working with tigers and eventually selling $15,000 worth of candy out of a briefcase as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, do you think that entrepreneurial spirit, was that always with you?
So that's a really deep question that I'm gonna dissect. So I guess it's nature versus nurture, right? Like, is it born in us, or is it created by our environment? And I'm a biologist, zoologist, so I love to give animal analogies. So I'm gonna give kind of an animal analogy. If you look at a zebra, like, why don't we have zebras around? Like, they're strong, they're tough. Like, why don't we have zebras riding around all throughout America and the world?
Never thought about that.
So it's because of their spirit. They are unbreakable. We have tried for centuries to try to break the zebra, like, Asian species of horses, where they're just There's something different about them. They have to fight all the time, lions and the crazy animals in the safari and savannas, and we just can't do it. They would rather die than have someone riding on their back. They just can't handle it. They just refuse, unlike other horses. And then I'm gonna also flip it that I worked at a nonprofit called Long Meadow Rescue Ranch, where we took in abused and neglected farm animals. Like when a tractor trailer rolls over and they're scattered all over the highway, it's a division of the Humane Society. We'd take them in and help them. And I would see the horses that would come in were just, it's one of the most hardest things I've ever done, but also the most fulfilling. We would have horses come in that were skeletons, literally skeletons, bones sticking out of their skin, the true evil of what humans are capable of, what they've done to these animals. And these horses are just angry. They're fearful. They're scared. They can't trust us anymore. And we show them love and compassion, and that brings them back and changes their behavior to where they can trust people again. So that experience changed them. And so to go back to the original questions that are always in me, I think that it's a little bit of both. And I think most people have that kind of experience. Some people are kind of born with it. My parents are both entrepreneurs. They didn't do super well, but I learned from their mistakes. And also my mother was a heroin addict, and I learned since I was 10 years old, and since a very young age, I learned that, hey, if I want to buy something, if I want something, I need to do it myself. And that's what also kind of stemmed that, hey, I need to make money. Money's a resource in this world that people value. I need to get more of it, and I need to buy things, that I need. So I think it's both. If I know it's a long answer, but I think everyone has a little bit of both, I would say.
Yeah, that's the most comprehensive answer I think I've ever heard to that question.
Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but thank you.
It's a great thing. I really appreciate it. I think it helps our listeners get more of a peek into who you are as a person. And I'm always about the saga, the story, the backstory, and what makes people tick. And I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, some personal information there, and you're part of your story, part of your journey. And my hat's off to you for going through what you've been through, I'm assuming with your mom and all of that. The animal part of that really tugs at my heartstrings. I just launched the book Revenge of the Herds, about how the animals we eat have their revenge on our bodies and planet and all that. And I always feel like I have kindred spirit with people who really truly love animals and get it. So that's really exciting. So thanks for sharing that. Switching over to the Polar Protector, such a classic story. Can you just give us a quick overview of what is the Polar Protector? How does it work? And then just a touch on some of the spin-off products from that?
Yeah, 2 years ago, my wife and I both have lower back pain. We both have inflammation, and we keep seeing this ice water therapy thing coming out and people doing it. So we're like, let's give it a shot. We're here in the Midwest during the winter. You basically go out and buy a stock tank or Ace Hardware, Tractor Supply, wherever, fill it up with water, freezes over, and you sit and torture yourself and sit in the water. And the Swedish have been doing it for thousands of years. So we're like, there must be a little bit of merit to it. So we just loved it. It really helped our lower back pain, our inflammation, all this. And one of the first things my wife said was, hey, if we're going to be sitting in this stock tank full of water, I want a nice cover to go over the stock tank, because I don't want leaves getting in. I don't want bugs getting in on the inside. I don't want algae growing, all this gross stuff. And I was like, oh, sure. I'm an Amazon seller. I'll just find it on Amazon. No problem. I typed in stock tank cover all over Google and 0 results. So I was like, okay, there's a business potentially here. Yeah. So I basically just I drew it out. I started talking with different factories, got some prototypes made, got some patents filed, and listed it online once I placed an order. And it just took off instantly. And it was just a simple idea, a cover for a stock tank. And people were using like tarps, and they were janky and just didn't fit well. And it was a problem that I was trying to solve. And it was a very, very simple solution. And we did that. And then as things progressed, we started selling more and more and more. It started snowballing. I was just like, there cannot be this many cold plungers just organically finding this. So let's try to figure out who our customer is. Started looking at the addresses, doing like Google satellite images, and noticing that a lot of these people that were buying this were farmers and ranchers. So I started contacting them and figuring out that they were using it for their own needs, for the original intent for feeding livestock, for drinking, for water for livestock. And we just started talking to our customers and basically saying, what problems are you facing? What is this solving? They explained it, and then they talked about many of the other problems that they face with stock tanks. So we're like,
Mhm.
the farm and ranch industry is a little bit bigger than the cold plunge community. So let's try to focus a little bit of our energy on that and try to solve some of their problems. There hasn't been really any innovation in the stock tank accessories category in the past 40 years.
Mhm.
After COVID, the stock tank industry kind of changed because people just started using stock tanks for their backyards, for raised flower beds, for rain barrels, for backyard ponds, for just endless stuff. And people had a need for accessories to solve their problems. And we tried to cast that giant net to kind of, for our products, to solve a good amount of those problems.
That is so cool. I love those discoveries. Like, I'll just go on Amazon, I'll buy one, we'll have it here in 2 days. It's like, wait a minute, why there's nothing? Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing showing up? As an inventor, like, like that aha moment, like, okay, there's something here. Because if I'm looking for one of these, there's a chance other people would be as well. And you've sold over, I mean, 30,000 of these covers in just a couple years. That's incredible. What do you think were maybe the biggest factors that help you gain that traction so fast? Were there any surprises along the way there?
I always say being an entrepreneur is like chewing glass. There's just,
Yeah.
there's always problems that arise. But I think what got me to accelerate so quickly was execution. I see so many inventors that have shiny thing syndrome, I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they create something. It's an amazing idea. They create a prototype and then they shelve it. And then they move on to the next thing, because whatever's in our brain, or that dopamine hit that we get from creating something, a lot of the times for inventors, that's where they stop. They got their hit and they move on. For me, I needed the validation. I needed to say, hey, I did create this and there is a need for it. Let me prove it. Let me prove it by sales. And so I think execution was probably one of the biggest contributing factors, is just executing your idea and doing it well. And that's a challenge. This is the first business I've ever created that's grown outside of our garage. And as things scale, you hit more problems and more, just different problems arise, just way different ones that you're not typically used to. So yeah, execution was what got me there. And the problems that arise, I mean, just countless. I mean, there's tariffs today, there's factory issues, there's tons of issues. And I always try to tell inventors or entrepreneurs that, like, you're gonna have problems and you gotta kind of wear all the hats and figure it out. And if that's not for you, I wouldn't try to go down this road if you're not willing to accept that and be excited about that, because I love it. I get to learn new things constantly. When new problems arise, I view it as like a notch in my belt, something new that I can add. I can add to my list. And so yeah, problems occur daily, and we just solve them as they come. That's all you can do.
Absolutely. I think if you're not a problem solver, you're probably not a great inventor or would be a great entrepreneur. I mean, that's something I feel like is a must. It's got to be hardwired into you that the problems are going to come up. Things are going to come up. You have to be resilient. You have to persevere, and you got to keep your eye on the prize and not get, you're going to get knocked down. The question is, are you getting back up over and over and over and over and over again? So that's great. And as far as the biggest surprise for you, was it that farmers are buying this and not plungers? Was that, or were there other surprises?
I mean, I think that was the important surprise, because knowing who your customer is so important, so you can market it correctly, so you can kind of focus all your resources into that. So that was probably one of the best surprises, just figuring out that the farmers were using this for livestock rotations. They were using this because they store feed in it and they just needed a nice cover to go over to prevent the moisture from getting in. So like, just all those types of different things. Yeah, I would definitely say that probably the farmers and ranchers buying this product, which again, it makes sense because they're also buying stock tanks more than anyone. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, they're going to have a need for it, for just different use cases too. And yeah, just another big problem that we have is just educating also the people, the retailers, about, hey, your customer isn't also just farmers and ranchers. It's the backyard group as well. Like, that's been another huge hurdle that we've had to overcome, because most people just think stock tanks are just for livestock owners. That's all, that they're just tubs to drink water out of. And that's not the case anymore. Things have changed, and you need to adapt and or die, and start thinking of different use cases for this. And so getting that kind of resistance and then having to educate has also been, but it's been a fun challenge. So it's been fun to educate people that, hey, you are selling this to farmers and ranchers, sure, but there's also a huge other market that you're missing out on.
Yeah, no doubt. Such a cool thing. I mean, to take a product that's been around forever, and now there's this completely new use case for it, which drives new accessories, new products, but then also providing those accessories and products to the farmers and ranchers that are still using it the way it was intended to be used. A lot of inventors, we hit roadblocks when it comes to scaling our product. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. It's like, okay, I'm getting it into some mom and pops and I'm on Amazon, but how do I scale it into some bigger retailers and do all of that? For you, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as it started to really grow? And how did you navigate that from the time it really started to take off?
A couple things happened. First was Amazon this year changed their storage space requirements. So space has always just been an issue. This is a physical product, so it just takes up space. And I've always used Amazon as my distribution, essentially. And they just keeping it really online. And as we start getting the mom and pops, just kind of being able to do those orders in our garage, and then bigger orders, we start losing a little bit of money because we can't ship out pallets and things like that. So I'm still navigating those, to be quite honest with you. We're still navigating that. I'm at the point now where I have to decide, hey, do I go ahead and invest in, maybe 10 acres somewhere and build my own stick build warehouse and do it myself and have that asset and that equity and put it into that and have control? Do I want to do that? I could also partner with a 3PL, lose some of that control, where things will happen, hiccups will happen, wrong stuff will get sent out, just it will happen. Or I could rent a space at finding a warehouse space to rent out. And again, things can kind of change with that. It's kind of more of a middle ground. And I'm still navigating that. And there's no really right answer. It's just how you want to take your business, how you want to progress your business, and where you want to see it go in 5 years. I want to be able, by 2030, doing easily, $5 to $6 million a year with our product. And with that, it's going to need space. and as things evolve and change in the warehousing industry, we'll be interested to see what happens. But Amazon is actually also a great resource for distribution in terms of AWD. A lot of people don't know about that. It's just a program that they have where you can ship in basically pallets, and then they'll ship out pallets to wherever you need to go. And their storage space is really, really reasonably priced, and they do it efficiently and well. And there are resources out there. So I think it's getting easier, and I'm just trying to navigate which one is going to be best for us.
Yeah, perfect. AWD is a great program. We did that with the Swat and Scoop product, and they connected right with our factory in China and brought it right to their warehouse. And then they take care of all the logistics for getting it out to the fulfillment centers, and they eliminate a lot of brain damage for entrepreneurs. So it's a great program. So you're kind of at that point where, do I follow Jonah White's model and build it out and, just load it up in my truck and go to all the trade show? Am I that guy, or do I license, or do I work with a 3PL?
I just need to go into a cave for a week and just really focus on that question. Do I want to be that, or do I want to be, what path I want to take? So
yeah, I think that was the advice Jonah got from his dad. Go live in a cave for a year. And he did. Who actually does that? I hope you're listening, Jonah. So that's the advice he would give you. Nick, go live in a cave. It'll all become clear.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yep.
Maybe you could do a man cave or something and kind of,
there you go.
Pizza delivered or something. And you mentioned, I want to circle back a little bit to the farmers and ranchers that kind of sparked the new wave of not only sales, but also ideas. What have you learned about listening to your customers and really using their feedback to guide some of that innovation? I mean, were there others that helped do that as well, or did most of that come from the farmers and ranchers?
Yeah, when we went to trade shows, so there is value. A lot of people say trade shows are dying, trade shows are just not the future, and I see that point. I get it. But there is value in stepping foot in a trade show and talking directly with your customers and figuring out one on one what problems they're facing, specifically for an inventor, and how you can solve those problems. So we have a sinkable mesh insert. So like a mesh that goes in the stock tank, sinks below the water line, livestock can drink out of it just fine. And then it gets dirty, leaves fall in there and stuff. You just take it, flick out, put it back in, and it's clean. And I had a customer say, "Oh, I'm going to use this. I'm buying this product, but I'm not going to use it to clean the stock tank. I'm actually just going to use it because we." This is a ranch in Utah. It's the wildest thing. She goes, "We have at least 20 squirrels die in our stock tank a week." Like just fall in and drown and die. And we've trained our horses to go over and take the dead bodies, like the dead squirrel by the tail, take it and flick it and fling it across the pasture. So like huge problem, like dead animals polluting your water. That's an issue. And they had to train their horse to kind of figure it out to solve. They're not really even solving the problem.
Yeah. Wow.
So she's like, I'm using that because they can then climb up the sides and use that. And that's a huge problem. Animals, non-livestock animals falling and dying. Her daughter was sitting and she's like, was sitting there and talking with this, I forgot the cat's name. She's like, would this have saved Mr. Sprinkles? And she goes, yeah, it would have, because Mr. Sprinkles, the cat, went to go get a drink out of the stock tank and fell in and died. Their pet, and drowned. And that's a problem.
Sad.
That's a big problem. And in places where it's more rural or deserty, there's just limited water. That's a huge problem. So we're launching Critter Protector, which is a mesh that's smaller that can just be used on the side for any kind of animal with claws to climb out and escape and not die and pollute the water. So yes, talking with them and discovering these problems, livestock or animals dying in stock tanks, livestock jumping into stock tanks and breaking them is another big problem. And stock tanks freezing is another huge problem. So that's we just kind of took it all in and what were we hearing the most, and then being like, okay, here are 4 problems or 3 problems. Let's try to solve 2 and do it really, really well and figure out how we can solve it the best to the benefit the customer the most.
When you were a little kid, did you think, when I grow up, I'm going to create stock tank accessories and that's going to be my new passion?
No. Yeah, I always knew I was going to be around animals. Like I kind of always knew that. I've always had a passion for animals and wildlife. It's just growing up in a rural setting, I respected wildlife a lot and nature a lot. And I did what I needed to do when, in high school, middle school and high school. I literally we had these silly fundraising events to like go to Costa Rica or for the soccer team or whatever, where you would basically go to a company and a school approved company and they'll be like, hey, we have this cardboard box full of candy and you're going to buy it from us for 75 cents a piece, but then you're going to sell it for $1. So you're going to make a quarter candy bar. That I was like, okay. So I did that and that's what the school required. So I got that. And after like 2 weeks, I was like, this is stupid. As a middle schooler, I was like, this is kind of silly for me. I'm just going to go to Sam's. We have a Sam's Club membership. Like, I'm just going to go there and buy the candy in bulk and at a much cheaper at 10 cents a piece. That way I make 90 cents per candy bar. And then I was like, well, the cardboard worked for a while. I just took their candy out and put mine in and no one knew the difference. And then I was like, well, that's constricting me. I'm selling out every day. There's too much demand. I need more supply. So I took the cardboard and cut it out and put it on a briefcase that I found at Goodwill, and was able to then expand my supply and put it more in there. And then I would like slip teachers candy bars to, make sure that they, didn't report me or anything. And so, yeah, I always knew I was going to be with animals and business. Was kind of, to go back to your original question, I kind of always knew I was going to be in that realm. If you really reflect on yourself and figure out what you are good at We all have a superpower. All of us have something that we can contribute to this world, whether it's just talking to people, customer service, excuse me, design. Everyone has a special superpower, and if you can figure that superpower out and harness it and like use it well, sky's the limit for you. You'll be able to live your life purposefully and do things well.
Great advice. I talk about that all the time. I mean, the happiest people in the world are doing what they love to do and making a good living at it. I think that's the dream for everybody, really. And it's clear you have a big heart for animals and the heart of a problem solver. When you're developing new ideas, like let's say the hot tub cover for the stock tanks or magnetic garden tool, even some of these other accessories, what does your creative process look like?
I think over the years, I've just figured out is to solve the problem. So solving a problem and a business will follow. So that's what I kind of look at. I look at my everyday life and seeing what kind of problems can I solve. Or I take someone else that's like an industry leader or just in the industry themselves, like the farmers and ranchers, and what problems do you need solving? And trying to do that can be a challenge because you have to do that economically. You can come up with a great product, but if you buy it for $20 a unit and then you can only get $22 a unit out of it, it's not a great business. It's not going to work well. You have to figure out how to make the product well and make it make sense economically. So that's kind of what I look at. I look at what problem am I solving? Can I solve it and make a business out of it, or make it so that it can benefit the customer? They can get at a great price point and it can solve their problem, and then we can sustain our business with it. So that's kind of my foundation of my process is solving the problem and then finding out if that can be scalable. And that's the other thing, also just scalability. Like you could be great, but if you have great margins, but if it's handmade and there's a bottleneck effect, you can't really take it off as much as you need to for the masses. So those are kind of my three main things: is solve the problem, economics, and then scalability.
Yeah. And your example with the candy bars is such a good one because it's like, why am I making a 25% margin when I can make a 90% margin? Solving the problem, getting the product, and then running into the scaling issue. Like, I need a bigger suitcase here, right?
And no one did it. Fear holds so many people back. Fear is such a strong emotion, and I just don't know why anyone didn't do it. Also, it's funny because like our vending machines at that time were locked, so like during the day, during school hours, you couldn't access them. So I was the only supply, and just no one did it. And it was because of fear. People just were fearful I could get in trouble, or I could, no one could buy it, or 1,000 different things. And just fear holds so many people back. And sometimes you just gotta go out and do it.
For sure. And I love that you're greasing the palms of the teachers to keep them quiet,
Yep.
keep your enterprise going.
Got to keep them happy and full. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yep.
I think for all of the inventors or entrepreneurs that are listening right now, I know you've dropped a lot of really good things, but what advice would you give to someone who has a great idea, but maybe they just feel really stuck on how to take the next step or even just bring it to life?
I would say execution is probably the most important thing for any entrepreneur or inventor. Is you have this idea and you feel stuck, you have to be just persistent and execute. So you just have to figure it out. The internet is such an amazing tool that there's so many resources out there to help people. You have this idea, contact factories, go to Alibaba and just start contacting factories to see if they can help you. Start talking to your network here, just talk to people. Mentors are huge. And every inventor or entrepreneur should have mentors, multiple mentors to help them along the way. And executing your idea is just so important, and not having that fear or that analysis paralysis hold you back. It doesn't have to be perfect. Things are never going to be perfect. You're going to have to always adapt and change them as time progresses. That's another thing I always see with inventors is they try to make everything perfect before they bring it to light. And you just can't do that sometimes. Most of the time you can't. You just got to get something out, and yeah, it'll have issues, but you'll solve them and you'll come up with the new version 2.0, and then people will want that. And then you solve another problem, and this is the version 3.0, and people will want that. And so just don't let that hold you back.
Great advice. And that's part of the iteration process, right? Get something that you can start getting some feedback, getting some traction. Oh, okay, I now know based on data what I need to change or what I need to tweak. Great advice from someone who's been there, done that. What are any final thoughts for our Inventor's Edge listeners?
Yeah, just persevere. Just never, ever give up. Just always keep trying. You never know. You just always gotta keep trying.
Great advice. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't let obstacles.
Short and sweet.
They're going to be in your way, but keep the wheels spinning. And you're such a great example of that. And I love your story, and you're a living example of that perseverance. Keep it going, keep the wheels spinning. Yes, there's problems, there's mistakes, there's obstacles, but keep going. You mentioned mentors too, and I 100% agree with that. I think that's a huge thing that for anybody that's truly had success, there's a good chance there's somebody that they've stood on the shoulders of and helped lift them up or guide them or help them in some way. With that in mind, are you open to people maybe reaching out if they have a question for you, or how could people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Call me Dumbo. I'm all ears. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. They can just Polar Protector, and all of our social medias are just at Polar Protector, polarprotector.com. You can reach out, and yeah, if you surround yourself with good people, good things will happen. Jonah says that often too, and that is true. I do believe that, and so I always try to help people when I can. And a simple question can go a long way, can really help out. So I always try to give people an opportunity to speak, because I've been in situations where people don't even give me an opportunity to speak, and it just I hate that. You just got to give people that opportunity and decide after that. So yeah, just check us out on polarprotector.com.
Awesome. Sounds good. Such a huge resource. Thanks so much for being on the show, Nick. We really appreciate it. We'll get you back on maybe down the road to check back in and see how things scaled and see where you're at.
Would love that. Thank you so much, Scott.
You got it. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a review, and please share it with fellow inventors. Your next breakthrough could be just around the corner. For more tools, tips, and resources, visit us at inventors-edge.com. Until next time, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life.